seconds. KC, we now have 24 seconds.
Hey, Casey, 20 seconds. Casey, 15.
Okay, get ready now. Here we go.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the 2020 Candidate Forum. I am Casey Compton. I'm the Executive Director of the Maysville-Mason County Area Chamber of Commerce, and we are happy to partner with WFTM and the Ledger Independent to bring you this year's forum. You've obviously seen it looks a little different than it has in years past. Due to all the COVID regulations and restrictions, we had to get a little creative with how to bring you your candidates so you can hear from them. We appreciate Crosspoint Community Church for reaching out and allowing us to use their space, their facility, their equipment. So thank you to Pastor Chad Current and Austin Berry for helping us out today. We really appreciate the high quality event that we're able to bring our community. I'd also like to thank the Chamber's 2020 annual sponsors, our corporate sponsors, Carmuse, East Kentucky Power, the Ledger Independent, Meadowview Regional Medical Center, Regal, WFTM, and our executive sponsors, AT&T, Baldwin CPAs, Fast Pace Urgent Care, International Paper, Kentucky Utilities, Maysville Community Technical College, and McFarland Chevrolet Buick. So today we're going to break the candidates down into 3 sessions. You'll first hear from the state representative candidates. Then we will have the 8 city commission candidates broken up into two sessions based on their ballot order. There will be a brief intermission between each session of candidates so that we can sanitize the stations here and bring them out of their holding rooms. But next we have Stephanie Schumacher with the Mason County Clerk. She's going to give a little update on the voting situation this year, the voting locations, and give us, the community, a nice briefing update.
Thank you, Casey. Good afternoon, and I want to thank Rod and Robert for having me. I just want to take a few minutes before the forum gets started to talk about the general election and how that's going to work. So Election Day is November 3rd, and you'll have 2 places that you can cast a ballot on Election Day. That will be at the Mason County Field House and at Central United Methodist Church at 912 East 2nd Street. So polling hours on Election Day are the same as always, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, a little different this year, we're going to have early voting, which is no excuse voting. So any voter, anytime, can show up to vote during this time period. So that'll start October 13th and last through November 2nd. That will be held at Central United Methodist Church from 8:30 to 4:30, and on Saturdays from 9 to 1. So in addition to Central United Methodist Church, we're also going to have polling places in the county on Saturdays. So on October 17th, we'll be at the Mays Lake Fire Hall. On October 24th, we'll be at Highland Christian Church. And on October 31st, we'll be at Orangeburg Fire Hall. Those hours are 9 to 1 also. So postcards will be going out this week to every household in Mason County, and they will also have the same information. One other date you need to remember is if you plan on voting by mail, the deadline for that is October 9th. So you have to have your application submitted by October 9th to be able to vote by mail. So that's all the information I have as far as voting. If you have any questions, you're always free to call the clerk's office at 564-3341. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. We appreciate the time that you have given us, and thank you, Casey, for allowing us the opportunity to moderate this. We're going to kind of start off with opening remarks, and we flipped a coin, and Craig Miller was the first to open with a opening statement. He'll be followed by William Lawrence, and then we will commence answering questions. So, Mr. Miller.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Maysville Chamber of Commerce, the Ledger Independent, WFTM, and Crosspoint Community Church for hosting today's forum. I truly appreciate the opportunity to be here and address you and our fellow community members via Facebook Live. I'm Craig Miller from just down the AA in Augusta and Bracken County. I'm married to Amy Kelch Miller. a speech therapist, teacher, and special education director at Augusta Independent Schools. I'm the father of 2 sons, Grayson and Griffin, and my one and only little girl, Sophie. I'm the 3rd generation owner and general manager of Miller Lumber Company in Augusta, Kentucky. I also am an elected official serving as the Augusta West Magistrate on the Bracken County Fiscal Court. I'm a 1996 graduate of Bracken County High School and a 2000 graduate of Transylvania University. I've been a volunteer member of many organizations, associations, and nonprofits since 2000. But to mention a few would be the past president of the Kentucky Building Material Association, a current national director of the National Lumber and Building Material Dealer Association. I served many years as the chairman of the Bracken County Industrial Authority, and as well as a current member of the Kentucky Association for Economic Development and the Kentucky Magistrates and Commissioners Education. Within Maysville and Mason County, I've coached and volunteered with the Upward Sports Program, Tom Browning Boys and Girls Club, St. Patrick Basketball Leagues, and I'm currently a board member and a coach at Wald Park. I'm also a member of the Bracken County and Kentucky Cattlemen's Association. I believe that I have the experience and the background of working with numerous industries, both public and private officials, local, state, and federal governments, and the common sense and values to continue serving in this 70th district. I didn't just start working to promote our Buffalo Trace region months ago. I've been spreading our message for nearly 20 years. Thank you for taking the time to watch today, and I look forward to discussing real issues that affect our 70th district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Mr. Lawrence, your turn.
I'd like to also thank everyone that helped put this on. There's a lot of people here that are volunteering. I want to thank them for all the hard work that they've done. My name is William Lawrence. I am the son of Sharon and Ricky Lawrence. I am a resident here in Mason County, lifelong resident, and I'm a proud Christian, a husband, and a father. I have 3 beautiful children. Aiden, Seth are my 2 boys, and Christian is Daddy's baby girl, and I'm very proud of that young lady. I'm a local small business owner here in Mason County. I'm only 31, so I don't have a long laundry list of things that I've done, but in the last 7 years, I started my company after losing my job. In the time that we done that, we didn't really have a clear direction where we were going, but we had a dream and a vision. We had a dream and a vision to build a business that could support my family and help our community. That business today has become a local leader in real estate throughout our county. We remodeled the Mayslick School Building, which is now a 13-unit apartment building that houses low-income families and helps people get up on their feet. The latest project that most people thought I had lost my mind on was the Mers Brothers Building in downtown Maysville. I had a dream to not only revitalize our downtown, but to build an opportunity for other businesses to have a place to open and to thrive here in this district in our county. I could go into other places that I volunteer, and I'm not going to do that right now. I want to tell you why I'm running really quickly. I'm running for this office because I see great potential for our district, for our counties. I want to work with everyone throughout this county and this district to create opportunities for other small businesses, just like I have done in the private sector as a small business owner. I know what it's like to be a small business owner. I know what it's like to sit and wonder if you can make a house payment with your wife. I know what it's like to struggle to make an electric bill. I know what those things are like. We need to send someone to office that understands that and can relate to that. I will take common sense, conservative Christian values to Frankfort. I'll work hard, and I will take hard work, integrity, and faith as my core values. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Okay, so we'll now begin the questions, and you'll have 3 minutes to answer each question. Mr. Lawrence, we'll start with you on the first question, okay? How do you feel about how Governor Beshear has handled the COVID crisis? And as a follow-up to that question, how do you feel about the use of executive powers in responding to the crisis? And would you have done anything different? And if so, what would that have been?
So the first part of the question, I feel that the governor in the beginning handled the crisis quite well. I think that closing our economy, I don't feel was the best idea ever, especially without a plan in place to sustain that. Our small businesses are facing the worst time of their life. These people didn't make the decision to close their business. Folks are on unemployment, which, by the way, now has a $0 balance. Our governor, in response to the poor decision that he made in the mismanagement of our state's economy, has ran to our federal government and got an $800 million loan that we, the taxpayers, are going to be responsible to pay back. Their only option to get that money is to raise taxes on us. The government has nothing that it does not take from the people. And it is time that we send someone that will stand up to our governor and let him know that we don't stand for that. The second part of the question, and I'm sorry I went into a rant there. What was that?
That's okay, yeah. How do you feel about the use of executive powers in responding to the crisis?
On that, I have talked to Savannah Maddox, which she has fully endorsed us, by the way. She is sponsoring or co-sponsoring a bill, a BR 130, which would, in response to executive orders, only give him 2 weeks before the people's representatives, the people that have been voted in to represent you, the voters, could go in and decide if the executive order is constitutional. And to the last part of the question, I have never been put in that situation. I can't sit here and tell you that I could give you some warm, fuzzy feeling and tell you that I could have fixed it all. I think that we were all facing a crisis that we never understood. We didn't know what was happening, but we needed a real plan in place before we jumped to conclusion to shut down the economy, put everyone on employment, and close businesses throughout our state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Do you want me to repeat the question for you, Mr. Miller? Okay, good enough.
March the 6th, I believe, was the date when Harrison County first announced the first COVID case in Kentucky. For 3 days prior to that, I had been in Lexington at the Judge Executive and Magistrate Conference with many local officials throughout the state, legislators, executive branch members, and no one in this state, nor outside of a few in D.C., would ever have imagined what type of situation was getting ready to unfold. I mean, obviously, we're almost 7 months into this, and a pandemic that's killed over 200,000 in America, over 1,000 in Kentucky. It's unprecedented. Obviously, we could go back 100 years to the 1918 Spanish flu, but the governor was put into a position of immediate action, as well as 49 other governors and territory officials throughout our country. We took advice from the federal level to the state level. We used the CDC instructions. I mean, myself as a small business owner, 2 to 3 weeks into this, we were very concerned our doors were going to be shut among a lot of other small businesses and large corporations and businesses throughout the country. I don't know that there was a game plan or a guideline for anyone to follow, and it was definitely an incremental step-by-step situation. As a local county official, we were receiving information and news almost the same time as the public, 4 or 5 o'clock at the press conferences every day. We weren't giving much awareness beforehand. We were fortunate that we were going to be able to be involved with our local health departments, with our county governments, and we were in touch with some information ready to do what we need in the county. So immediately in the beginning, it should have had some change, and then we get to this point now. The use of executive powers, there's a reason we have different branches of government, executive, judicial, and legislative. So we need to be able to get to where we're at the point of everybody working together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we move on to our next question and do it in reverse order. Start with Mr. Miller and followed by Mr. Lawrence with your response. One of the two of you will be only the third person to represent the 70th District since 2001. Regardless of who is elected, you will be a freshman lawmaker, and you won't have the benefits of an incumbent who has established himself. How do you plan to engage all of the residents within the district in your decision-making process?
Thank you. One of the reasons that I've been involved with community service, volunteerism, public service for many years is, as a small business owner, someone that was raised in the background of working at a family independent company. You serve your community. Yes, it's a retail position, but you're also building the American dream through home ownership. And I believe that I've been able to encounter so many from all around our 70th district, all around our tri-state, and all around working around in our country. I believe that we have the opportunity as freshman legislators. We have a voice. There's many new legislators in the session the last 4 to 6 years who move up in leadership almost within their first or second term. You have to have the capability, you have to have the experience, you have to have the background to know who to deal with, who to talk to. You have to also know you're there to represent everyone. Everyone from any walk of life is who you're representing. You're not representing one side or the other. You're representing the people of your community, the people of the 70th District, and that is what I would do if elected and serving our 70th District. Thank you.
You, Mr. Lawrence.
To the question, I'm a small business owner as well. I started that business literally from scratch, hope, prayer, and a dream. And by working with banks, attorneys, several attorneys at different points, and just individuals throughout the community, I didn't have experience in business. I didn't have some type of education. I didn't have big money to start my company. We took savings that we had. We bought one home. By reaching out and listening to people, that is how I learned to grow that company. Which today, we house 76 families. I'm 31. The business is 7 years old. We didn't really get on fire until about 5 years ago when we incorporated. So in doing that, I have learned to listen to people. In my candidacy, as soon as we come out, the first thing that I wanted to do was go to the small businesses, talk to people, find out what they need, because not everybody's in the real estate business. Not everybody's in, different other companies. There are so many different companies throughout our district, so many little mom and pop shops that make up this district, that I wanted to talk to them specifically to find out, what do you need? What could the guy that is going to represent you, it's not about what I want. It's not about what my party wants. It's about what my people here in this district want. What's going to make things easier for you? So in saying all that, I think that I have learned the value of talking to people, taking good advice, finding people that you can trust. And I know when someone's telling you, you're going to run into people that are going to tell you a big, long story, but you have to be able to discern that. And I thank God for that ability as well, to be able to discern who you're talking to. Do they mean what they're saying, and can they really help you? And I believe that I will take that to Frankfort for our district and the people that live here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. You'll have this question here. This is our third one, and 3 minutes to answer as well. Kentucky has one of the lowest gas taxes in the region. In fact, we're number 34 in the U.S. at 26 cents a gallon. The pandemic has people traveling less, and when you couple that with the current rate, we have found ourselves in an era of resources that have tightened and our revenue streams have become smaller. What are your thoughts on the current tax rate, and what ideas do you have for reorganizing the resources in a way to use the area's allocated revenues as efficiently and effectively as possible?
Thank you, Rod. To that question, yes, Kentucky does have the lowest gas rate. We also are struggling as it is. And from the beginning, I have been very clear that tax hikes for the people of our district and for our state in that matter cannot be something that we run to. That is always the solution to the problem. We have got to look at other avenues. We need a larger tax base, not a larger tax rate, because that will only force more families into poverty. It will only force more businesses away from our state. We need to now use the fact that we have some of the lowest tax rates to pull in other businesses and go to them. As a state representative, I don't want to just be your state representative. I want to work like a marketing director. I want to go out and find that tax base. Yeah, this question has been asked for years, and people will tell you the same question over and over. The same answer, excuse me. I'm telling you that as the state representative, if elected, I will go to the next, you walk in with the power of that office to a company that is looking to expand and say, I will be with you. I will ride in the car with you to meet people. We will eat at McDonald's together through the drive-through because they're not opening up inside right now. But we will get together. We will find a way to get you a building. We'll find resources. We'll talk to county officials. That will make a difference. Again, it's tax base, not tax rate. We cannot continue to mismanage and overspend our money and send the bill to us, the taxpayers. Thank you.
Mr. Miller, do you need me to re-ask that question? Okay.
The motor fuels tax is a pass-through tax. Majority is paid through travelers, business industries across the country. We have lost, and I believe it's actually 0.246 cents. I've been on a conference the last 2 days with the Kentucky Judge Executive and Magistrate Association. Secretary Gray spoke to us yesterday, as well as Republican Representative Sal Santoro, who is the head of the House Committee on Transportation. Our motor fuels tax rate has dropped from 0.31 to 0.246 cents over the last 6 years. What that means is $30 million per cent. And as a county official with some other county officials here in the room, they know what 1 cent can mean to a county. $30 million per cent. We've lost $180 million annually from where our rate has dropped the last 5 to 6 years. That's almost $1 billion that we've lost in road investment, in infrastructure investment, that we don't have coming back to Bracken, Mason, Fleming, and Robertson counties. Our roads are in disrepair. We need help from Frankfort. We need help on federal transportation issues. We lost the federal toll credit this past fiscal year. Almost $300 million more dollars that's going to be gone from our transportation budget. And this is a bipartisan issue in Frankfort. We know that no one wants to pay more when you're filling up at the tank, but there is 80% approval in Frankfort to do something with this, to set a level instead of having a benchmark at 0.246 cents, to where it can increase incrementally over time to where our counties and our cities, this money goes to our cities as well through municipal aid, our county road funds, our city funds, our state funds. We've lost $1 billion in 5 years, and I think that we as citizens see that as we're traveling, and something needs to be done about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to stay with you, Mr. Miller, for our final question of this round, and it will be followed by closing remarks, and then we'll go with Mr. Lawrence. Okay, Mr. Miller, in the current political climate, there is a lot of division that appears to follow along party lines. If you are elected, will you pledge to determine, to the best of your ability, the merits of any proposed legislation as it relates to the 70th District and vote the will of our district without regard to which political party initiated the bill?
Thank you. Absolutely. In my term in office, in my past experiences working with the Bracken County Industrial Authority, working on community economic development projects, I've worked with my Bracken County Republican Judge Executive for 8 years. I'm working with our Republican Augusta Mayor now. I've worked with independent judge executives in this region, other Republican legislators on the state level. There is no I when we're working for everyone. And we all know how bad the divisiveness is nationally. And unfortunately, it has all trickled down to us at the local and state level. We can't put away an issue because it comes from the right side or the left side. We cannot continue to have the partisan fighting that we have in Frankfort. We here on a local level, we all work together. We understand what a handshake is and what working across the aisle from city to county, from county to county, neighboring each other. We have worked together to create more economic development opportunities through industrial authorities. We've worked together on highway and bridge projects. We've worked with our neighboring state in Ohio with many projects that affect Maysville, Mason County, and Brown and Adams across the river. There is not any reason for our future coming out of COVID-19 to continue to be as divisive as everything has been. And it cannot start, yes, it can start with one of us, but it also has to engage our communities. We can't have the fighting from family member to family member, from best friend to best friend. You don't like someone on Facebook anymore because they choose to look at an opposite direction. 15 years ago, we didn't have these problems. We had Republicans, Democrats, and independents who came together every day and worked for the better good of our community. And as your representative, that is what I will continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lawrence, would you like me to reread the
No,
question?
thank you.
Okay, it's all yours.
You know, I have grown up in a community that is predominantly Democrat. You can look at the numbers. Half my family's Democrat. It's not about party lines right now. This race is not about political stances on party lines, but I'll tell you what, I will work with anyone on any issue that involves taxes, infrastructure, roads, jobs, you name it. But when it comes to moral values, our Second Amendment right, I will not back down. I can tell you that. There are certain areas in my life that make up the core principal values of who I am, and I will not waver from those. But when it comes to tax hikes, it comes to how we fund the roads, how we fund the teachers' pension plan that we promised them when they signed up for that job, I'll be there for those people. But the core values of who I am, I will not change for any political party, be it my own or the other side. Thank you.
Thank you. It's time now for our closing remarks. You each have 2 minutes to give those remarks, and we will start in reverse order. So first person to step up, Mr. Lawrence.
I wish we were stepping up instead of setting. That would be great. Guys, I want to thank the Chamber again and thank everyone that's here just for what you've done for us during this pandemic. It has been very difficult for Craig and myself, either one, or any of the candidates for that matter that's going to be up here this afternoon, to get your message out and to talk to people and spread your message. So I want to thank you guys for what you've done. I'm asking for your support and your vote because I feel like a vote for me is a vote for the 70th District. Hard work, faith, family, and values are what we stand for, and I feel like I will represent that strongly for you. I have a vision for the future. I have a vision that we can build opportunities together. In fact, Proverbs 29:18 says, "Without a vision, my people will perish." Never before has that scripture been more relevant than today. We can continue on the same path. We can continue talking about the same issues. We can continue doing what we've always done, or we can step out of our comfort zone. We can elect the young Lawrence boy, as I've been called before, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. If that's what it takes, I'm willing to stand up and fight for our communities. We need someone with the energy, the drive, and the devotion to see it through so that we as a community can build opportunities. Folks, I have put my life and family on hold just as anyone else that runs for office does. It has not been fun by any means. I got in this for one reason alone, because I seen a need and I believed in our district. I don't have the money to plaster my face all over every billboard in the county because no one wants to look at this on their way to work in the morning. They don't. And I get it. I am running not on my name, not who I am, not all the things that I have. I'm running because I want to represent you, the people of this district. State representative. The last word there is the most important. Representative. I will represent you, the district. There is a brighter future ahead of us. Call me crazy, but I truly believe it. We will come through this pandemic stronger. We will find alternative ways to fund our infrastructure, to build businesses, to bring in people into this community, and I feel like I'm the best candidate to do that, and I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller.
Once again, many thanks to the Maysville-Mason County Chamber, the Ledger Independent, WFTM Radio, and Crosspoint Community Church. We've only touched a small number of issues today, so I'd like to briefly mention 3 important topics that I believe need addressed in Frankfort. Number 1 will always be education. We need continued access and funding at all levels, primary, secondary, vocational, and technical. Number 2 is our internet and broadband capabilities. We must deliver that last mile to the Buffalo Trace region. Number 3 is healthcare and the opioid epidemic. We must continue to pursue quality and affordable healthcare, especially to those with pre-existing conditions. And furthermore, we need additional funding for police and law enforcement to help them in the daily struggles with the opioid epidemic. In closing, I've worked for 20 years throughout this region promoting small businesses and entrepreneurship, economic development, and public service through my various roles as a volunteer, as a coach, as an elected official, and as a business leader. I've never done this for myself, and I feel thankful and humbled that I've been put in this position by my peers and fellow business leaders. They've inspired me and motivated me to be in the position to be your next state representative. We've only had 3 people represent our district in 42 years, as they mentioned earlier. This opportunity does not come along very often. I'm proud to be the nominee who can continue the legacies of the 3 men that I've worked for in the past, Pete Worthington, Mike Denham, and John Sims. A vote for Craig Miller is a vote for pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, middle of the road, local public servant who you can reach out to every day. I'd like to thank each of you for your time and attention. I humbly ask for your vote from now until Tuesday, November 3rd. And I'll leave you with one last brief comment to consider. I believe this election comes down to experience. Who has the experience? Who has the background? Who has the relationships? And who has the capabilities to better serve Bracken, Fleming, Mason, and Robertson counties? and without reservation, without regard to political parties, on day one, January 5th, 2021. I believe that person is me, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Well, good. You guys ready? Okay.
All right. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to the stage for COVID-19 reasons. Obviously, we have our candidates for City Commission set up in groups of 4. They will all answer the same questions, but we have the second batch of candidates waiting in a room so they don't get to hear or get an advance warning about what the questions are. We're going to start off with 2 minutes to do an opening statement. We decided the order, did it straight according to the ballot. So we are going to go with Mr. McKay, Mr. Wood, Mr. Vest, and Mr. Brammer. Got 2 minutes to give us an opening statement.
Let's start now.
Absolutely.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for having us. My name is Victor McKay, and I'm seeking re-election to the Maysville City Commission. I was born and raised right here in Maysville, the son of the late Pat and Jane McKay, who instilled in me at an early age dedication, hard work, and compassion in the treatment of others. I'm a graduate of St. Patrick High School, Maysville Community College, and Morehead State University. I'm married to Mary Goldstein McKay. We have 3 children, Chad, Patrick, and Caroline. I have worked in both private and public sectors, and I'm currently employed as the director of the Buffalo Trace Health District. I first served on the City Commission from 2003 to 2006 and was re-elected in 2012. My primary focus has been on neighborhood revitalization, supporting our local authority, industrial authority, which leads our efforts in bringing new employment opportunities to the area. We've been really active the last several years. All you have to do is take a drive through the east and west end of towns, our central business district, and our industrial parks. They're filling up and they're putting people to work. There's still more to be done. We need to create a plan where people can access and enjoy the riverfront. We've talked long enough about that. We just need to get it done. I believe my experiences and ability to work with fellow commissioners and city administrators has and will lead to continued growth and prosperity. Continuous improvements must be the norm at City Hall and its daily decision makers. My name's Vic McKay, and I humbly ask for your support and your vote on Election Day. Together, we can keep moving Maysville forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Hello, my name is Andrew Wood. I'm candidate for Maysville City Commission. I think it's helpful to introduce ourselves. There may be people watching that don't know us personally. I graduated from Mason County High School in 1985. I attended and graduated from Miami University of Ohio in 1990. I graduated from Chase School of Law in 1993 and have been practicing law in Maysville for 27 years. I'm married, my wife Beth, and I have 4 kids, Walker, Drew, Emily, and Alex. I serve on Mason County Site-Based Council for the high school. I've served on the elementary school SBDM in the past. I feel like I've got my hands in 100 different things, but nothing that I'm more proud of than serving on Maysville City Commission. I ran, the last 2 years have been busy and fulfilling for me as Maysville's newest city commissioner. I ran for the office initially because I thought that my perspective would benefit the city, and I believe that it has. I've taken advantage of the opportunity as well. I look forward to serving you and sharing my views here today. And before I'm let go, I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce, Casey Compton and Bob Hendrickson, the Ledger Independent with Rod Baker and Robert, for your all's time with WFTM for seeing this through today. I think that this is invaluable for the citizens to be able to hear us. And lastly, Owen McNeil for his help today too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Now, Mr. Bess, you have 2 minutes.
My name is John Bess. Many of you may know me as J.C. Bess. I grew up on a dairy farm near Germantown and graduated from St. Patrick's School in 1998. I earned an aerospace engineering degree from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida, and worked in Florida for 12 years before being transferred to England for 5 years. During that time period, I started buying rental properties in Maysville with the plan to return someday, which I did in 2017. I am now employed at Stober Drives as an application engineer, and I am married to Kathy Peterson Bess, another Maysville native. After having so many opportunities to live and work in other places, I am seeking election to the Maysville City Commission in hopes of serving the community that has had such a significant impact in my life. Maysville has a lot to offer. It has hundreds of years of history to which our beautiful houses and buildings stand testament. It has culture and Southern charm. Despite all these positive attributes, people are leaving. There has been a downward trend in Maysville's population since 1998, and I anticipate it getting worse with DP&L closing. We need opportunities in the area to not only retain our local talent, but to recruit new talent and ideas into the community. In order to do that, we need to promote our competencies. One of our major competencies is our knowledge of industrial automation. This dates to the late 1800s when the predecessor Bunnings was established. As of now, we have 4 companies in Maysville that either manufacture components for machinery that move product in an industrial setting. We need to promote that expertise and recruit more companies to the area and make Maysville the motion capital of Kentucky and beyond. In keeping with motion, I want to address my passion of physical health. We have a beautiful area for outdoor activities such as walking, running, and cycling, but we do not provide a safe network of paths to allow the entire family to enjoy. Currently, we have several places to walk, run, and cycle, but they are not accessible by car. I would love to see downtown areas of interest linked to areas of interest on the top of the hill without the need of an automobile. These are just a few of my ideas that I will bring to City Commission. I would appreciate your vote. Thank you for your attention.
Mr. Bess, thank you very much. Mr. Brammer, time for your opening remarks.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank everyone for having this event for us today. My name is Jeff Brammer. I was born and raised here in the city of Maysville. I graduated from Mason County High School in 1982. And when I got out of high school, I got my MT license and went to work for the Mason County Ambulance Service and then later to the Maysville Fire Department. I spent 30 years with the Maysville Fire Department and retired from there. And after I retired, serving the community, I felt like public service has always been my life. And so after being retired for a couple of years, I decided to get back into public service, and that's why I ran for city commission. And I'm in my first term, finishing up my first term as city commissioner. And I think we made a lot of improvements into Maysville during that time. I think Owen McNeil has done a great job in helping bring the industry into Maysville, Mason County. And I think we need to continue to progress on a lot of things. So, we have done a lot of cleanup. If you go through town, we've gotten rid of a lot of abandoned buildings, a lot of dilapidated property, and we just need to continue with that progress. So I'd just like the opportunity to ask you to continue to support me and help me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brammer. Now we'll go into the question phase of the forum. Rod, would you like to start?
Okay, let's start. We're going to work from Jeff Brammer. Since we went the other way, we're just going to turn around and go back from Jeff and work our way straight down. So I would start by saying, one aspect of a thriving community is access to alternative means of transportation, such as walkways, bike paths, and the like. There are many that believe Maysville doesn't meet this need. So how would you address their concerns?
Well, we do have walk paths in Maysville. I know they do have some bike paths, and they're working on that. They've been working on that, and I think we need to do more in that area to make it more accessible to bikers, more accessible to walkers, and I think, you know, we will continue to find ways to make that happen.
Thank you, Mr. Brammer. Mr. Bess?
Yes. So I'm an avid runner. As I mentioned in my opening, that I'm very active, and I use the Maple Leaf path a lot. I think it's an excellent asset to the community. As I previously mentioned, I would like to see that linked with a walking path or walking/cycling path from there to the rec park in Old Washington, and also maybe use Hill City Road somehow to connect a pathway to downtown Maysville. That's actually cut off to traffic for about 0.6 of a mile. And that's a beautiful road to walk or run or bicycle on. So I think we have quite a few pieces of the puzzle to connect, to make a nice network of walking and cycling pathways throughout Maysville, and to link some of these really nice areas of interest, like the boat dock, maybe do a riverfront front walkway to Limestone Landing, and link that to Hill City Road on up to Maple Leaf, then onto the rec park, taking maybe Duke of York or places like that. Because one of the things that really does kind of dishearten me is the fact that rec park is such a great and beautiful asset that you can't actually walk to it safely from Old Washington even. So there's not even a pathway to there. So I see a lot of really easy ways to link a lot of these things together with just, you know, a little bit of money. But I think it all starts with just a vision and getting a lot of people involved.
Thank you, Mr. Bess. Mr. Wood?
Yeah, boy, that's a great question. You know, Maysville really is the tale of two cities in this regard. They were strictly a walking city up until, you know, the early 1900s, when the expansion eventually took place on the hill. We turned into simply a city of drivers, and it shows. You really can't walk anywhere on top of the hill. You have to drive somewhere to walk. Of course, I'm one of those people that drives to the Y, and then when I can't find a close parking spot, I go home because it's too far to walk. So I'm as guilty as anybody. But there has been movement in Maysville the last few years in regards to these alternative exercise methods, or whatever you call it. I don't mean to steal Vic's thunder, but the health department actually has a health committee that I serve on, healthy community. Well, actually, I'm on the Safe Communities committee, but they do have a committee that's pushing for walking paths, for the development of walking paths. And I've been personally in on several discussions, one from a private individual who is seeking permission from the Corps of Engineers to develop the area from the boat dock to Limestone Landing. So there is definitely talk on this. It's ways down the road, but it's in the talks. There's also additional talk about additional walking paths. You know, in the last couple of years, we have dedicated the walking path that goes around, I believe it's Stober, out in one of the industrial parks. The Maple Leaf Road project, I didn't have anything to do with that, but boy, what a terrific addition. We want more of that. In addition, I have volunteered for the Zach Rubel ride for the Limestone Cycling group the last couple of years, handing out water and ice and whatever they want me to do. So being a biker myself, I do feel strongly about this, and it's one of the few things that we can do as on a community level that we don't have to have the federal government for. So I look forward to pushing this forward.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Mr. McKay?
Andrew, when's your term up on that on that walking trail, that Healthy Communities?
Probably now, since you're
And they've done a great job. And speaking of that, we just teamed up with Buffalo Trace Area Development District. We received a $10,000 grant out of Frankfurt to help with our trails. So we'll be working with the paperwork. I'm just waiting on the paperwork from the executive director, and That'll be $10,000 we can go put towards improving sidewalks or trailways. I can't say enough about the Maysville Mason County Rec Park. Ever since I've been elected or covered elections or these debates or forums, the rec park has always been a staple in the community, and Jim Tishner, who just recently announced his retirement, is going to be missed because if you don't utilize it, you're missing out. It's a crown jewel for Mason County, and people are taking their health more seriously. I mean, just go out to the rec park, and it's the people that are walking, and it's just unbelievable. And this riverfront development project, it's just right over the back door of my kitchen. They've moved a lot of dirt, brought a lot of rock in, and what we'd like to see is trails down there to tie into the river park, the campgrounds. Now, again, money's an issue, and we have been pushing, well, the county has been pushing, and we have supported their efforts in the application and acceptance into the Appalachian Region Commission, where there is lots and lots of money for these type of projects. So I hope we can get that finished, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next question, we'll start with Mr. Bess, then work our way to Mr. Wood, Mr. McKay, then Mr. Brammer. Here we go. Because of the pandemic, we have found ourselves in an era of shrinking resources and tightening revenue streams. What ideas do you have for reorganizing the resources in a way to use the city's budget as efficiently as possible?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, well, instead of looking at what's going on with COVID as a negative, maybe we can turn it into a positive. A lot more people are working from home, and we have a beautiful area with really affordable real estate. I think we can really pitch that and get more people into our community, and from working from home with internet access and stuff like that. That could allow people to work from home, and then we can therefore generate more taxes through that method, and therefore the COVID pandemic will not hurt us so much and actually benefit us in great lengths, I believe.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wood.
Mr. Rowe, I think that's a really tough question. We're blessed in Maysville to have the budget that we do. We're blessed to have the payroll base that we do. We have only, by law, we're allowed to tax 3% of payroll, and we have only done 2, or 1.99 more precisely. We're blessed. I think money is spent wisely. I don't know about reallocating what we've already done. It's always on the commissioner's mind, the money that we spend, as part of our job. I think Matt Wallingford does a terrific job. Penny Francis is a godsend. I serve on the audit committee, and I can tell you that the auditors have never been happier with the way the money's being handled at the city. They took time to especially recognize us for the cleanness of the books. I can't say that I have anything in mind in terms of reallocating any funds. Kevin Doyle, for example, just recently came to us and said, I think one of his supervisors resigned or retired, and he said, I'm not going to fill that spot. He said, I'm going to have other people, parcel up his jobs, and in that way, we're going to save the city $70,000. Chief Muse is constantly, every decision they make is, how much this is going to cost? Can we pull this off? And so I feel like that the department heads are handling the money really very well already. I'm not saying that we're not open to new ideas, but we're blessed. We're sort of waiting. I guess it could be said since everything sort of went downhill in March. Businesses have been closed more than we would like. There is going to be some downside to that. We don't know what it is yet. Those numbers should be coming in the fall, and I guess the best I can say is stay tuned. But I think things are going pretty well at the city.
Thank you very much. Mr. McKay.
Yes. Well, the pandemic has wreaked havoc on private business. The public sectors haven't really felt the effects as opposed to the private. The city of Maysville did receive over $600,000 to go towards police salaries and benefits, which, as you can imagine, $600,000 out of a budget is big. So as of yesterday, we're looking at we took in $54,000 less payroll from this time last year. Like Commissioner Wood said, it's going to be one of those stay tunes because the new figures will come out this month. But what's happened to save us and keep us above water was the CARES money, but also the contractors at East Kentucky Power. They didn't stop. Construction didn't stop. It slowed, but the money kept coming in. So $54,000 is where we are, less as opposed to last year. We'll know more here at the end of October, at the end of the second quarter. But according to Penny, our comptroller, Francis, who I agree does an excellent job, we haven't had to touch reserves, and we'll just have to see what kind of rolling up the sleeves and what we have to do when the numbers come out at the end of the month.
The pandemic has been very hard on small businesses, like Victor just mentioned, and as a small business owner, I can attest to that. But the city, we have managed pretty well, and with the $600,000 that we received from the CARES Act, it has helped support the police and the fire department salaries. And so, to agree with Andrew and Victor that, Penny Francis has done a great job in watching over our budget. And, we have to try to make sure that we watch the money and to make sure that, we don't overspend, because just like everybody else, we have a budget that we have to abide by. And so till the new numbers come out, we haven't had to lay off anybody or anything like that. And so things has been pretty well. That may change. But one of the biggest complaints I've heard during this pandemic is a lot of people who are working from home. Internet access, it seems to be the biggest complaint. I think we need to do more about internet access for people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brammer. Okay, so we'll go to Mr. Wood. Mr. Wood, the question I'm going to ask is a pretty hot topic, so I hope you're a little ready here. There have been proposals put before the city regarding a smoke-free initiative. How do you feel about a city or a county-wide comprehensive smoke-free ordinance?
Well, it's not the 1950s anymore. I was telling somebody backstage, I don't think you're going to catch anybody flat-footed on this one. It's not the 1950s anymore. I do think Mason County is ready for a smoking ordinance of some kind. One was proposed before everything fell apart in March. No action has been taken on that, but I feel like that it will. I don't support a comprehensive ban on smoking, but I do think that there is room for a smoking ordinance that protects patrons and employees and businesses. I have met with some of the people from the Smoke-Free Initiative, and I've told them basically the same thing. Don't give me Oldham County's ordinance in terms of the strictness and the onerous, the liability on businesses, but bring me something middle of the road and we can talk. I'm happy to work with the other commissioners and citizens to come up with something that's reasonable. I think Maysville's ready for it. We are not supported by the tobacco program anymore. We don't have, our farmers don't have a tobacco allotment. There's absolutely no support from the tobacco companies. I don't know that we owe them anything in terms of loyalty like we may have 30 years ago. But I want to be reasonable, and for what it's worth, I think the anti-smoking movement has made a lot of progress just on their own. Just contacting businesses and businesses, having their own rules. I think we've come a long way. It's almost hard to find a business today where you can smoke. But I do think there's room for an ordinance, and I'll be happy to continue that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Mr. McKay?
Yes, sir. The Smoke-Free Coalition hasn't. They've approached the city, but they just to ask our support if the county would approve of a smoking ban. I have worked closely with Justin Denham from the Smoking Coalition on several occasions. I personally have problems with the overall comprehensive all or nothing, but will not stand in the way or beat the drum and lead a charge against it. But definitely, I did propose a smoke-free ordinance, and it included a citywide smoking ban with exceptions of places where you have to be 21 years old. I've discussed that with him. He somewhat agreed and thought that was fair. We even took it a step further and even just thought of if we could add those places that allow smoking to be grandfathered in, but once they sell, they become smoke-free. So eventually we can get there. And I would be the first to introduce a smoke-free ordinance to the City Commission if it just came with that one exception. But then again, I'd like to make it perfectly clear. I will not oppose, nor will I lead a charge against any type of ban. But I would, if I had my druthers, which today I do, I would prefer the Owensboro ordinance with maybe Maysville's touch of the current grandfathered clause, and then they have to go smoke-free once they sell.
Thank you, Mr. McKay. Mr. Brammer?
I'm not a smoker myself. I don't smoke and never have. But as a small business owner, probably 90 to 95% of my employees smoke. And they know that they have to go outside and smoke, or in the wintertime they can go out in the garage area and smoke, but they're not allowed to smoke in the offices. They're not allowed to smoke in our cabs. The public is not. We stopped that January 1st. And, you know, I think a person who owns a small business, if, you know, his employees wants to smoke or whatever, he could have a designated spot somewhere away from the customers or whatever. But I don't feel like it's my job to tell that business owner what he can and cannot do in his own business. I think that should be up to them. I think if a person, you know, it's their right whether or not they go in that business. If they don't want to participate, or if they don't want to go to that restaurant because, you know, they allow smoking, that's their right. But I will listen, because I have met with the people from the Smoking Coalition, and I've talked with, you know, had conversations on the phone with them, and, you know, I will listen to anything reasonable.
Thank you, Mr. Brammer. Mr. Bess?
Yes, hi, thank you. I agree with Commissioner Wood that tobacco companies, they don't own us anymore. And, you know, that's been a long time ago. So we should govern how we see fit. And as of now, we know that smoking is detrimental to our health. So I am for a comprehensive smoke-free ban. You know, the statistics just show that it's better all around. 8% fewer new lung cases of lung cancer in Kentucky communities with comprehensive smoke-free bans. There's also the childhood smoking rates drop significantly in those communities that have smoke-free, comprehensive smoke-free ordinances by like 15, you know, only 15%. So for smoke-free, they're 15% less likely to smoke cigarettes and 16% less likely to use smokeless tobacco. So it's just not a matter of businesses and personal freedoms. It's also about, you know, the children in the community and how they and what they see and how, you know, the examples that we also set for them as adults. And another thing is the cost of smoking. Smoking costs a lot of money in our healthcare system. We all want affordable health care, but you're talking about, you know, just what Lexington did when their law took effect. There was a 32% reduction in adult smoking. That equated to $21 million per year in health care costs. So that's a significant amount of money. So it just goes to show that, you know, it helps the community all around. And so that's why I'm for a comprehensive smoke-free ordinance.
Thank you very much. We move on now to the last question of this round, after which you will each have 2 minutes to offer your closing remarks. We'll start with Mr. McKay, then work with Mr. Brammer, Mr. Bess, and Mr. Wood. Sometime over the last year, there's been discussion regarding the hiring practices of the city. Some thought it would be best to hire the best candidate regardless of where they came from, while others felt that the city should promote from within its ranks. How do you feel about this and why? Mr. McKay.
Well, I've been a part of that discussion, so it all comes down to transparency. Within our police and fire department, like most private businesses, they promote positions from within. I think we would be pretty hard pressed to find someone who's making $60,000 in Florence or Alexandria on the fire department to relocate to Maysville for $40,000. But be that as it may, I have been a proponent of all department heads, all postings being advertised, and that the mayor or he appoint 2 commissioners to go through all the resumes and applications to come in to make sure we get the right candidate. We owe that to everyone, not just the city, but not just to the city itself, but to its future. We need to have the most qualified individuals that we can afford in every department head position, from the city manager, the HR manager, which I think we stole one from the college. Thank you very much. And I think that's imperative, and I just haven't been able to get traction on that, the support. But as far as internally, Public Works, if I go to work at Public Works and I'm there 5 years and a position comes open, and I put in for it and I meet all the qualifications, I don't see why. Police and fire, there are certain guidelines they have to go by. There are certain requirements that they have to meet, tests they have to take. So as far as advertising every job the city of Maysville has, I have no problem with it. But as far as everything except the department heads, I think we should give consideration to those already inside first. Doesn't mean they'll get it, but that's my position on that.
Thank you. Mr. Brammer.
Well, I kind of agree with Victor there. We've had several discussions over this, and with the department heads, I don't see anything wrong with advertising from the outside. Like he said, we got a good candidate for our HR. Came from the college. I think, we went through the applications once they narrowed it down from the interviews, and she was the best qualified. And I don't see anything wrong with that. The thing that I see, and I've always kind of stood by this because I worked as an employee for the city for 30 years, I feel like that, once you start a job, like, for example, I was with the fire department. I started there, and my aspirations was one day to maybe be chief. And, I did make it to assistant chief before I retired and was assistant chief for almost 10 years. And I think every employee that works within the city strives to, make themselves better. And we have good trained police officers and fire officers, and we have good people at Public Works and the water plant and with the sewage department. And, I think they need to have that opportunity to advance. Now, if their supervisor feels like that they're not qualified for the position or they're not ready for the position, then we need to seek, advertising and then seek outside applicants. And I think their supervisors know the people very well, and they know whether or not they can handle the job they're up for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bess.
Yes, I was at these meetings with the City Commission when this discussion was going on, and I found it was a great learning experience for me. Wanting to be a city commissioner and seeing the different debate that went on amongst these 3 gentlemen and the mayor, as well as Mr. Ashley. I agree with Victor. Transparency is a must this day and age. it eliminates any concern of cronyism or any question of cronyism. We are a small town. We do know a lot of we've gone to school with, people in positions of authority and power, and we also are related to them. So in order to eliminate that thought of cronyism from others, we need that transparency, across the whole board. It doesn't cost anything or much at all to put a job description online looking for a new hire. When it comes down to it, I'm sure the individual supervisor that's hiring for the position will be in on the interviews, so they will be able to determine whether or not somebody from the outside is capable of the job or not. It doesn't hurt anybody that's currently employed. It just helps bolster the number and hopefully the level of good applicants for each job. So I think transparency is definitely a must, and everybody should have a fair shot at it and should know about it.
To ask me my position on this issue because I've already been well versed in this and well stated in the publications already. The newspaper asked this question to all the candidates in the spring. I was very clear that I was for transparency. The City Commission has already taken a vote on this. I have voted for it consistently. And that's not to say that the city does not have good employees and that employees should not be considered first in a promotion. In fact, the policy has begun to change somewhat already. We're getting ready to hire, or it's coming up for a vote on Thursday, hiring an assistant water department position, and that person is person that's been nominated is coming from Owensboro, Kentucky, and I believe that's going to pass. So we already have begun transparency, and when we can't find somebody with the qualifications that we need, we have been advertising outside and are finding good people. But it's not it's not the 50s anymore. We don't have, we're a small town. We don't have a dozen applicants for every position that comes open, and there's going to be a day when, when we're not going to have enough. So I think the problem will take care of itself in that we're going to have to advertise. We're going to have to find a way to stay competitive in this job market. But when it comes to this issue, we're a public entity, and this is what I told the city employees that came to a meeting one time, and it was a tough meeting. That place is lined with police and fire, and they're staring at you, and you feel like the biggest jerk in the world because they think you want to take their jobs away from them, and you don't. But when it comes down to it, we're a public entity, and I believe that the public deserves to know when we're hiring. Does an experienced employee get preference, or do they get additional consideration? Yeah, if their supervisor says they do. But I do think the public has a right to know, and I'm going to fully support that during my next term if I'm returned to City Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and we'll now move into the closing remarks, and we're going to start with Mr. Brammer and work our way straight down the line. So you got 2 minutes.
I'd like to thank everyone this afternoon for having us out for this forum. I appreciate all the efforts that you've taken with WFTM, the Ledger Independent, the Chamber of Commerce, Cross Point Church. I think it's a good thing to hear all the different opinions. So like I said in the beginning, I'm in the ending stages of my first-year term, 2-year term as a city commissioner. I think we made great strides and since I've started, and we've come a long way. Again, we've done a lot of cleanup in the town. We've started quarterly cleanups. We have gotten rid of old abandoned houses. Some of them are drug houses that need to be cleared away. We put those properties up for auction, and we've got them back on the tax roll. And, we're continuing. Mr. McNeil has worked diligently, and he's done a hard job in trying to attract more industry into Maysville. And I think, if you elect me, we will continue to progress as a city and move forward, which we always need to be moving forward. So again, I ask for your support on November 3rd, that you will come out and support me for commissioner and give me another chance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brammer. Mr. Bess.
Yes, like to, Jeff summed it up very well. Thank you all. It's been a thrill to sit up here with these gentlemen, because I've watched you guys in the city commission meetings, and yeah, it's really cool to be up here with you. and discuss these really important topics concerning our community today. The city has done a lot of cleanup these last couple years, and I think it looks a lot better than it did when I first got back here in 2017. That's for sure. I still think there's always more to do. There's always good to have a fresh set of eyes come in after some time with experiences and different thoughts, and to see maybe just how things maybe could be a little bit different, and maybe that will make things a little bit better. That's why I decided to run. I thought there's still room for improvement. I think I can add some of that that bright insight to help further the improvement and to keep us going onto this path as technologies change, as people change, as our culture changes through this next decade. So thank you all for your attention. Thank you for everyone who will support me. And if you haven't made up your mind yet, please look into me. I'm on Facebook, and I'll be posting some more videos, and you can maybe learn some more about me. Always contact me on Facebook. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bess. Mr. Wood.
I remember a couple of years ago, the newspaper did I don't know if an expose is the right word or not, but I shouldn't be looking at Rod because I don't think he was down there at the time, but it was basically, did the commissioners earn their money that year? They are supposed to work 30 hours a week, or at least according to personnel files, they're supposed to work 30 hours a week. So I resolved to keep track of my time, and in the last 2 years, I've got 14 legal-size sheets of just events, matters that I've handled, time spent on city matters. The first thing was a lady who wanted a handicapped parking spot in front of her place at work. I wish every decision, I wish every project that I pushed for could be that rewarding. She was grateful. I accomplished some good. But in the future, there's going to be more of that. I've jumped in. I'm hip deep in city business. I enjoy it. I feel like I get along with the commissioners well. Some of my initiatives that I've led and that I feel most proud of was when the police protests broke out. I led the effort, and we did secure funding to provide body cams for the police. That's been a tremendous resource. I also single-handedly led the effort to initiate mosquito spraying in the East End. Mosquitoes are a terrible problem over there that hasn't been talked about for a while, but I've got my eye on it because I've got 14 rental properties over there. I'm down there. I see it. I get bit myself. The state provided that for free. And I've also provided important leadership on keeping the Washington pool open this summer. I know that has become a little bit of a third rail. I didn't intend for it to be. I just saw a lot of people who were bored. I saw a lot of kids who needed something to do. I thought it could be done safely, and I jumped on it. You're going to continue to get hip-deep leadership from me, and citizens can expect more of the same if they return me to office. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Mr. McKay.
Yes, sir. I want to thank the Maysville-Mason County Area Chamber of Commerce, WFTM, the Ledger Independent, and Crosspoint for hosting today's event. To the citizens of Maysville, if there's anything I want you to take away from this forum, it's this. As your city commissioner, I've always been committed to listening to each and every one of you and to addressing concerns that may affect you, your family, and your neighborhoods. Jobs, accessibility to our riverfront, support of locally owned businesses, as well as our industrial authority are important to me because I know they're just as important to you. They are all essential to our health, well-being, and as well as our survival as a viable community. I have supported the city's efforts in revitalizing the East End so it may be better utilized for a safe environment where families can live, prosper, and businesses flourish. It's imperative that all neighborhoods have that same support, and local government should make that happen. I've worked with our city staff and fellow commission members to develop solutions beneficial to the city in its decision-making. We need someone who understands our traditions, our values, while also bringing to the table fresh perspectives. I believe that someone is me. If elected, I will draw on my past experiences that I believe will best serve the city of Maysville as a whole. To me, there's no issue too small or obstacle too large that we can't overcome if we work together. As we wrap up this afternoon, I recognize today's voters are engaged, they're energized, and paying close attention to this election. I also believe I've been instrumental in positive changes that they're looking for and expecting for years to come. I respectfully ask for your support, your vote, and look forward to continue to serve as your city commissioner. Together, we will continue to make Maysville a better place to live, work, and play. Stay safe, mask up, and God bless. Thank you.
Good, we're done.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We have now moved to our second half of the City Commission candidates, and we'd like to welcome to the stage, we got here. We have Stephanie Gastower, David Cartmel, Kelly Ashley, and Ann Brammer. We're going to start this off with 2 minutes to introduce yourself, some opening remarks. Then we've got some questions for you, and then we'll give you another 2 minutes for closing remarks. You get 2 minutes on the questions, so pretty much just two, and two. Like Chuck Woolery used to say, in 2 and 2. So let's go ahead and start. Stephanie, Ms. Gastower, can
Sure. My name is Stephanie Gastower. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you today and just introduce myself. I was born and raised in the East End of Maysville, Kentucky. I have 2 children, 24-year-old Andrew Gastower and 17-year-old Lily Gastower. I'm a grandmother of 1, and I know that I'm not in appearance to be a grandmother, but that's okay. I'm employed at Stober Drives as a talent development leader, and I have been very fortunate in my lifetime to have some wonderful jobs in Maysville, starting out with public service at the Department for Social Insurance. Then I moved on to the Administrative Office of the Courts. I have been an educator in K through 12 public school system, and also an administrator at the high school level, as well as the elementary level. I hold an associate degree from Maysville Community and Technical College, a bachelor's degree from Northern Kentucky University, and 2 master's degrees from Morehead State University. what I want you to know the most is that I have a very diverse background, a unique skill set, and I'm very results driven. And for this reason, I really believe that in the society in which, the environment in which we are living, we need to bring to the table more diverse perspectives and the ability to see things from a different perspective. And so for that reason, I think I would be a great asset to the team of commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cartwell.
Good day. Thanks to all of the people that brought this on so we could come to you. I have been your mayor for 20 years, with the exception of the last 2 years. I've served on multiple boards and commissions on the state and federal level. Last year, I was the chairman of the Recreational Trails Authority, which brought money here and built the track at Stober, the walking track. I was a finalist as a volunteer for the Kentucky State Middle School Volunteer of the Year. I've been a volunteer at the Red Cross, the Senior Citizens, deliver meals. Been in the tobacco business for many years, and actually owned a ferry boat for about 7 years. I've been president of the Kentucky League of Cities and its insurance arm also. But I think my most important job right now is I'm the principal pianist at the First Christian Church. So I've done that for the last couple of years. I think that some of the great things that have happened under my tenure were the Leadership in Energy Awards, the Great River City Award. We were made the 4th best small town in America and the 2nd cutest town in America. We won a Main Street Award, and we've got several new industries, notably PPI and EnviroFlight. All of this was before I left office. I offer nothing but my experience, my connections, and my accessibility to establish or reestablish primacy in Frankfort, where our money comes from. Thank you.
Mr. Ashley.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Kelly Ashley, and I'm asking for your vote to reelect me to the office of City Commissioner. Well, I'm not that good a public speaker. I'll try to give you an idea of who I am and why you should spend a precious vote on me. I've been your City Commissioner since 2007. I'm a lifelong resident of the City of Maysville and a graduate of St. Patrick High School, MCC, and Eastern Kentucky University. My wife is a retired special education teacher at Mason County High School, and my son Flynn is a graduate of St. Patrick and NKU and resides in Northern Kentucky with his wife Lauren and the light of my life, my grandson Declan. I'm a downtown business person in real estate sales who has the unique opportunity to see our city from the perspective of both locals and new residents. To do a good job for the City of Maysville, I think we need to seek out fresh ideas and new concepts. 2020 has been a very trying year for everyone, and no one knows how our city will be affected in the coming months and years by this pandemic and the state of our economy. But I will continue to seek out new industry, jobs, continue to revitalize the East End, try to keep our town beautiful and vibrant by enforcing city codes and requiring property owners to keep their properties clean and in good shape or be fined. 2020 has been a record year for condemning and tearing down dilapidated properties to make our neighborhoods beautiful and inviting again. The City of Maysville will face many important and even volatile issues in the coming months and years. We need people with experience to face up to these challenges and make the tough decisions, not because they're popular, but because they're right. Our citizens deserve a commissioner who will give them an answer when they have a question or a request. I have only one hard and fast promise, that I will give you an answer when you come to see me. It might be yes, it might be no, or it might be I don't know, but I'll find out for you. I will always deal with everyone with the truth and fairness. Thank you, and thank you for your support on November 3rd.
Thank you. Ms. Bremer.
My name is Ann Brammer. The key characteristic for any person seeking this office should be dedication to the residents who entrusted you to oversee our city. Your time and energy spent is to not only make Maysville better, but the opportunity to let it grow. It is a must to maintain our city's charm, but to also provide opportunity for its future. I promise to be the voice who will support the existing businesses and to attract new ones as well in our downtown district. But I will actively seek more and bigger retail businesses on top of the hill. Our residents need to be able to shop locally. Losing any retail business is a tremendous loss to this city. Leadership is a must in keeping Maysville financially secure. We must promote Maysville. My goal is to focus on cleaning up areas, especially entrances to the city, regarding overgrowth and weeds, to address real estate in distress, especially vacant and abandoned property, along with neglected areas. We must enhance our entertainment district with more events. We must support our local businesses and listen to any new ideas and concerns. We have to make this city a place to visit, along with making it a safer place to live and raise our children. I promise to tackle all challenges to make Maysville a thriving city. In a few short weeks, you will be electing 4 city commissioners to represent you. Therefore, a vote for me will be a vote for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll begin the question period now, and we'll start on this end with Ms. Brammer. We'll work our way back towards Ms. Gastower. And first question. One aspect of a thriving community is access to alternative means of transportation, such as walkways and bike paths and the like. There are many that believe Maysville doesn't meet this need. So how would you address their concerns? Ms. Brammer?
I totally agree with that. We do need walkway access. Down by me, I think at one time they talked about having a walkway along the river walkway. And that was a great idea, but I've never seen anything come about of that. I think in Paris, Kentucky, you can see the bicycle pathways on the main thoroughfare downtown. So I think we have to sit and look at it and take action. Let's just sit down and do it. I'm all for it.
Thank you, Ms. Brammer. Mr. Ashley?
Well, I agree. I would like to see more access to walking trails, paths, bicycle routes. The city downtown, we do have a pretty good sidewalk system running through everything, and we're still replacing sidewalks. But when you start getting out on top of the hill and all the walkways on Maple Leaf get an unbelievable amount of use. I see people walking, running, biking. I think downtown would benefit for having, since we have turned 2nd Street through the downtown business district into one way, that we've got plenty of room to put bike paths down through there. So, and of course, the other alternatives, we do have city transportation, buses, local cab company, several different things. But just for getting around, I would like to see more, and I would bring something up about that. I'd like to see the bike paths especially. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashley. Mr. Cartman?
We have some bike paths here. It's just connecting them to the other bike paths and walking paths that is the problem. Anytime you have to cross a major U.S. highway, like when you're going from Stober to the community college to get over that way, very difficult. The downtown streets, West End laid out probably in 1850. I think it's the only thing you can do there is keep a low speed limit like we have. And I think the bikers that come to these events are very excited. I see a lot of bikers. And I think with the trails that we have, especially with the new trail along Maple Leaf Road, I think that's a great addition to what we have, and that gets you to kind of the hinterlands out there on Old Hill City Road. You can ride to Washington. I think there's a lot of opportunities for bikers here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cartmel. And we'll finish up. Ms. Gastower.
So thank you for the question. Access to alternative means of transportation is an issue. And if you look to the root cause of that issue, there are barriers to transportation, mainly for people who are underrepresented in the East End of Maysville. And so you have to not only look at where your bike paths and your walking paths are, but do people have access to those? So there is a rails to trails system that I think we could look into to develop more in our area. We do have good city transportation and good schedules. But in addition to that, I believe that we could do more to incentivize locating things down in the East End area so that more people could have access to those. I know I walk my grandson downtown. That's where I live. The sidewalks make it very, very difficult to roll a stroller over. People of handicap situations and limited mobilities, I think there are many opportunities for us to improve. But the bottom line is we have to be very clear to identify those opportunities. We have to strategize how to make that happen. We have to plan, we have to execute, and we have to evaluate that. So we can say things all day long, but until we get very clear on what the result is that we would like to have, and then how to plan and evaluate that, it's going to continue to be an opportunity that the need is not met.
Thank you. Our next question will start with Mr. Ashley, then go to Mr. Cartmel, Ms. Gastower, and Ms. Brammer. So I'll start with you, Mr. Ashley. Because of the pandemic, we have found ourselves in an era of shrinking resources and tightening revenue streams. What ideas do you have for reorganizing the resources in a way to use the city's budget as efficiently as possible?
Well, I think a lot of that would come down to not so much the city, but the city and fraternal organizations, clubs, things like that. If we could get together and try to marshal our resources, our people, and try to help with, I know that there's a really rough time right now, that people are not, don't have the money to go to the grocery store, don't have all that. The blessing boxes around town, as soon as you fill them up, they're empty because people are hurting right now. So I think we need to, if we could get together, try to have a central location, have the city help fund this and private donations, and try to have groceries that we could deliver to people, rides for people to doctors, with the city buses, certain days, they'll pick up 4 or 5 people at a time, keep them socially distanced, and get them to doctor's appointments and things like that. And I think, if we could, combine our efforts with the private sector and with the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cartmel.
We do have a central location, and that is the Mason County Community Cares, the food bank. And I'll tell you what, this is such a great place. I go get the food on occasion. A lot of food comes from the Free Store Food Bank in Cincinnati. Kroger, a lot of the local restaurants, local supermarkets are great about giving. we have a lot of food and we have a lot of volunteers. And it's not just Community Cares, it's the Mays Lake Baptist Food Bank. And these are two great organizations. Nobody should be going hungry here right now. I go up there about every day trying to, see what I can do to help. But, systemically, we have to change the way we do business at the city of Maysville. Maysville, the last time I checked, had probably one of the highest expense of elected officials in the state for a town our size. Around most of the cities make around $6,000 a year. They don't pay insurance because insurance has gotten so high. So, if we're making $16,400 a year and a family plan is $14,000 a year, that makes it more of a full-time job. And if you're not working full-time, I don't believe that you should even get that. I personally I saved the city over $120,000 during my tenure because I paid for my own insurance. I didn't want insurance from the city. So I think that's something that we have to look at first things first. And if I'm elected, that is my number one priority.
Thank you. Ms. Gastower.
So I agree with Mr. Cartmel about looking at resources differently. I have a career. I am fully covered in insurance, very blessed in that way. If we are providing for employees those fringe benefits, those are the things that are most costly. So a good look at the budget is certainly one of those things that needs to happen. In addition, when we talk about shrinking resources and we talk about root causes, it is my firm belief that we need to look at this as an investment in the community and an investment in its people. So how do we reallocate those dollars to provide training for a skilled workforce? We have a lot of unemployment and underemployment due to the fact that we have a lot of our citizens who do not have a skill. That does not mean you have to go to a four-year traditional university to get a degree for success, but everybody coming out of high school must have some sort of skill where they can provide back to the community. I think providing tax incentives for training and apprenticeships to businesses is a way that we can invest in the people in our community. I think we need to look at providing living wages, not minimum wages, to our city employees. I think we need to provide for tuition reimbursements, because when we raise one person in our community, we raise the whole community.
Thank you. Ms. Brammer.
I so agree with Stephanie and David on that. I've had a chance to work with youth at the food bank, and they went up there and they truly helped all summer with the food bank, and then they also gave to the blessing boxes as well. But I think we do have to educate people. I think the city has to come together, and we all have to work together since we have this corona and COVID, that we help provide people with the resources they need to do and have.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so for our next question, we're going to start with Mr. Cartmel. There have been proposals put before the city regarding a smoke-free initiative. How do you feel about a city or county-wide comprehensive smoke-free ordinance?
Well, we can only deal with the city. The county did not endorse that, but I am for a smoke-free ordinance. But I think there must be an appeals process, and that is because Maysville is built on business and facing this great unknown about what's going to happen, in the coming year. We had over 800 people employed in the restaurant and hotel business prior to all this. I'll bet you couldn't get half that right now. And I think that's a very dangerous situation, and I am not going to ask anyone who's put up especially their life savings, to have a small business, which creates jobs, to be totally smoke-free. And I think they could appeal. I mean, I'm for an appeal board, which perhaps the head of the health department, a member of city council, a member of the smoking group, and a member of a business group would be involved in determining. I mean, if you can show that it's going to put you out of business, I don't think you ought to have to close down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carmel. Ms. Gassauer.
Smoke-free initiative. Ah, what a controversial topic that is for so many. I really believe in not having government overreach, but I also believe in the scientific data that says secondhand smoke can kill you. I don't think that my choice should be your punishment. And so for that reason, I think it is in the best interest of the employees and the residents of this city to adopt a smoke-free initiative where there are public people inside those businesses. I would hope that those businesses would adopt that on their own, like so many have, and that is so appreciated. I realize that smoking is a choice, and dependent on the situation, there should not be somebody to say you can or can't do that to your body. But if it involves me, my children, my grandchildren, and it's something that we can't control, and we want to patronize a business, I firmly believe that a smoke-free initiative is the right thing to do.
Ms. Brammer.
Well, I've been asked this question before, and I stated I would support it. And my reason for supporting this was due to the many families with children not wanting to be around or near secondhand smoke. I think almost all the residents in the healthcare facilities and hotels and etc. are smoke-free. But I have to think that there are businesses such as bars where you are 21 years of age to enter and who are legal age to make their own choice. I think that we need to sit down and really consider affecting the existing business's livelihood. And as a city commissioner, we will have to look at both sides and then I guess decide on this issue. You got a choice. I don't know. I'm done.
You done? I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off. Sorry
It's
about
okay.
that.
I saw you
Hey,
looking
I don't
so-
want to interrupt.
That's okay.
We know how that goes when you interrupt people. I don't want to be there. All right, you good?
I'm good.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Ms. Brammer. Mr.
This question has been around for a long time, and I've struggled with an answer to it ever since the first time it was ever brought up. On the one hand, I don't like telling someone what they can do with their own property. Like Ann called it government overreach, or Stephanie did. I don't. I really hate telling somebody they can't do something in their own place of business. On the other hand, for the greater good, I see that smoke-free indoors in public buildings, it's going to save lives in the long run. It's a small inconvenience. If there's a bar you want to go in and you want to smoke and they don't allow it, go outside. I would like to see a smoke-free ordinance, and I think it would be, I would hate to think if we didn't have one, and most places that have a smoke-free ordinance are looked like as forward-thinking, new age communities. And I would hate to think someone would come in here, plan on bringing jobs to a factory or office building or whatever it may be, and everything coming even between us and another town, and they say, well, Maysville's not very forward-thinking. They don't even have a smoke-free ordinance. So I would take a comprehensive smoke-free ordinance, and I would be behind that.
Thank you. Well, sadly, it's time for our last question for you guys. And we'll start with Ms. Gastower, go with Ms. Brammer, then Mr. Ashley, and Mr. Cartmell. Here we go. Sometime over the last year, there's been some discussion regarding the hiring practices in the city. Some thought it would be best to hire the best candidate regardless of where they came from, while others felt that the city should promote from within its ranks. How do you feel about this, and why?
Thanks for that question. Coming from the private sector, it is a common practice to advertise for positions within for 30 days. And if you don't have a candidate that you believe will fit that role best, then it is the practice to advertise outside of your company. I think transparency is probably the biggest issue of that. If you post a position for your internal employees and there is an external candidate who was not able to apply for or interview for that job, then that excludes to some degree those folks who want to relocate to the area and have a very specific skill set. So I do believe in transparency. I do believe in equal employment opportunities. But I also think that you can do so with advertising from within for 30 days and having a very strong set of hiring practices to make sure that you get the right employee for which your business or company needs.
Thank you very much. Ms. Brammer.
Well, I feel this is a two-sided coin here, because if that person that you have already employed is wanting to bid out for another position, you already know that person's weaknesses and their strengths, but they should be qualified. Any position, anybody is seeking for a higher pay scale or a higher position within the city, I think anybody should be qualified to do that. And then, but I also think too, on the other side, that you should also advertise and for that job, and the best candidate who has the best credentials should have the job.
Thank you. Mr. Ashley.
Okay, well, that has been coming up here recently, and I kind of let my feelings be known that I think that if there is an opening in a particular department, that the head of that department would know better than anyone, including me, the city manager, the mayor, anybody, who in his department is capable of doing that job, who would be doing the best, or if there's not. And I would trust them to tell me, we don't have anyone. Let's go outside and advertise for this. If you go to advertise for every job out there, I think it's sending the wrong message to your current employees that, well, I can't move up. They're going to go out and hire somebody from the outside every time a job comes up. And I think you lose some of your best employees, especially in departments, mainly like in fire and police. A lot of people want to be here, but they want to have a chance to move up. But they can go 50 miles down the road and make a whole lot more money. But they may never move up in their department. So now what are you going to do? We want somebody who wants to stay, wants to be a member of this community, and our chief and the heads of the departments can tell you everybody that is whether or not they can do that. So, and I don't think that's not being transparent. I mean, we're very transparent. This is the way we're going to do it. I kind of like what Stephanie talked about. Post it for 30 days internally, and if you can't hire from that, then let's go outside. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cartmel.
You know, everybody that comes to work at any company wants a chance at promotion. They eventually want to know that if they excel, that they get moved up. My problem with the way things have been done at the City of Maysville is that the HR and city manager have recommend the person without telling the city commission who else was available. That's why during this last debacle, I voted no. And as it turns out, there were some problems, and he was let go. The gentleman that I wanted is the manager now at Public Works. He had the experience. I don't know why we didn't have a list of the people, but from now on, we need to have a list and the credentials of the people that are proposed to be hired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're now down to our closing remarks, and we will start on this end with Ms. Brammer. We'll work our way down to Ms. Gassauer, and you have 2 minutes.
I am going to present to you the most important words that should help you in your voting process. Honesty, leader, goals, accessible, visible, listener, positive, communicator, respect, reliable, flexible, and fair. When you mark your ballots in choosing the new city commissioners for the next 2 years, use these words in making your right choice. I promise I will be all of them. But I'd like to take a chance to thank the Chamber and WFTM and the Ledger Independent for hosting this for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brammer. Mr. Ashley.
Thank you. First of all, it's not going to take me 2 minutes. I just want to thank everybody who's had us here today, the Ledger Independent, the WFTM, the Chamber. I would like just to state, kind of rehash a little bit of what Ann said with the words. All I can promise you is fairness, honesty. I will get back with you if you call me or text me or email me with an issue and you need to talk to somebody. I will be there for you, and I will give you an answer. Like I said in my opening, I said I can't promise I'll tell you yes. I can't promise I'll tell you no, and I can't promise, but that I'll tell you I don't know. But I'm going to tell you one of them, and all you have to do is call me, and I will deal with you and try to help you any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashley. Mr. Cartman.
Thank you. I work for the public. I just don't pretend to work for the public. And I feel like I'm kind of like Thomas Watson, the gentleman at IBM. He said, I used to manage by walking around. Walking around is fast. Well, I manage by driving around. I drive around Maysville every day. I operate business here. And I mean, I'm just spend a lot of time up at the East End. But I mean, I spend a lot of time everywhere. But our future economy is dictated by what we are today. We need, of course, affordable housing. We need to revisit our water fees and our water structure. What's the reward of paying all your bills and everything when you want to change your meter? Well, you got to pay $200. I think we need to look at that and get together with the city controller. There's an epidemic here of stealing bicycles. My bicycle was stolen. My neighbor, 11-year-old girl, her bicycle was stolen last week. And I mean, there's pieces of bicycles in every alley where they're spray painting them, and I don't know. I almost think that bicycles ought to be licensed here anymore just for their own protection. I know when you buy a child a $200 bicycle, you want to know that it's safe. I want everyone to have a role to play and something to say. I think we need to strengthen the police presence all over Maysville. You know, it's just there's such a great unknown after COVID. And I think I have proved with my experience and success that I can help lead this city to a brighter future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cartmel. Ms. Gassauer.
So if it's not clear, I'm not a politician. I probably don't say the right words in the right way. But what I'm going to say is that it's great to focus on all of the wonderful things that Maysville brings. And it does bring wonderful things. I like the word opportunity as opposed to the word problem. But we have a lot of opportunities. We have to be able to uncover and identify those opportunities instead of hide them under the rug, because they never get faced if we do so. So I would like to ask that you allow me the opportunity to serve on the team of commissioners so that the skill set that I bring of identifying the outcome or result that's wanted, being very strategic about that plan, executing and evaluating that plan according to what are the priorities of the community, things like severe drug abuse, things like homelessness, things like there's addiction outside of drugs. We have so many opportunities, transportation being one of them, reallocation of funds for training. When we get to the root cause, I think things like investment of our people and a strong workforce will help to restructure our community so that more people can feel that success. If you read Ruby Payne's framework of poverty, there are a lot of things that we can address that don't have specific relation to the topics we've discussed today. So if you would like to discuss those further, I'm certainly open to do so. Please contact me. Thank you for everyone for hosting, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So on behalf of the Ledger Independent and the Chamber and WFTM, it's been a pleasure to have the opportunity to hear what our candidates have to say. Personally, they've all been professional. They've all answered the questions with the utmost of integrity, and I know that I appreciate that, Robert.
I think a link to this forum should be sent to the White House and also to the Biden press office so they can see how it's actually done by adults.
Hey, he told me he was going to try to get that in, and I thought maybe we might make it the whole distance and that not happen.
Nah.
Guess what?
Nah.
It didn't. Well, on behalf of all of us, for those of you that are watching, we hope, collectively, that you've got something out of this. I know that all the candidates are open to hearing from you. Hopefully you can use this as an opportunity for you to inform yourself, but most importantly, you got to get out and you got to vote, period.
And archived, in case you did miss part of it, or if you have somebody who would like to see it, it will be archived on the Chamber's webpage, and it'll be mirrored by, or on Facebook page, and mirrored by the Ledger and WFTM. And of course, all of the people and wonderful people from Cross Point, just an amazing facility and wonderful people who helped bring this about. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Cross Point. You all have a great afternoon.